The Flicks Book Club.
The Flicks Book Club.
Yeah, I'm not doing this.
Welcome to Flicks Book Club. I'm Casey Aurora.
Hey, I'm Dennis Rooney.
Steve McDonald here.
All right, cool. Be sure to check out our website, flicksbookclub.com. This week we're discussing Kidnapping Mr. Henineken. It's a movie that actually came out in 2015, April 3rd, 2015. It's directed by Daniel Alfredson. The reason I picked this movie is because it's I like these movies. You know, I like, how I like, a crime, drama.
A heist, a caper.
A caper, anything, any of these things, capers, except I don't like capers. But I like capers.
You like capers. You didn't like Chinatown, but that's,
So, I like these kinds of movies, and that's why I picked it. It just seemed, when you have the title Kidnapping in there, it's like, hey, let's just cut to it.
Plus Mr. Heineken.
Yeah.
It's like,
Right.
this is a real guy. Like, Mr. Heineken?
Yeah, you're just like intrigued by it.
Yeah.
So it stars Anthony Hopkins, Sam Worthington, Jim Sturgis, and Ryan Quentin. And it looked interesting from the onset, from the cover title and all that stuff, but it just didn't do it for me. It felt like it was like opening this is a perfect allegory for it. It was like opening a can of soda and the soda was flat.
Ooh.
And you're just like, oh. So I'm going to go with a don't.
How did you not go with the obvious simile there, opening a bottle of Heineken and it being flat? You went with soda.
I know. Because
this episode, by the way, is sponsored by Heineken. I am drinking a Heineken right now.
Yeah, so I guess
which is stupid.
Right. But I don't drink anymore.
And by the way, we didn't say what the plot was, but it's in the title.
Right.
They kidnap Mr. Heineken.
Yeah, that's what
and
it is.
They hold him
Yeah,
ransom.
it really is just kind of like does what it says on the tin.
I kind of feel like I didn't need to.
And I'm going to go with you. I'm going to say don't stream it.
Right.
It's not a super hard don't stream it.
Right.
I had a lot of problems with this movie, though.
Yeah. It's not like horrendously bad.
Yeah.
But, Steven?
Boys, we got a dud here.
Damn it.
You smell that?
I'm going with don't stream it.
I'm like 2 for 2 on duds.
I had a lot of problems with this movie.
Right.
And the thing is that like there was a lot in it that I really wanted to like. Like there was a lot in it that I just kind of like I wanted to enjoy.
Yeah.
And I don't know. I think we'll get into it. And
this movie's like when a
maybe
rapper introduces a vodka, and you're like, "Oh, this is gonna be good," and it doesn't.
They gave a bunch of stuff I didn't want, and then they didn't
Right.
expand on stuff where I was like, "Let's hear more
what
about that."
I would say is like when Shaquille O'Neal has now introduced a line of like Arizona juices, like Arizona tea juices.
No, that is gonna be bad.
And you have that moment where you look at it and you're like, really? You needed that? Like you needed that money? Like you don't have enough money?
Right.
You needed a line of juices that are terrible?
That's it's great to just see a row of his faces at the deli, though. That is kind of nice. All right, so watch the movie or don't watch the movie. I kind of want people to watch the movie so they could keep along. So just do that. And
I mean, like this is one of those things where I'm like, I almost want to have people watch the movie only because I want them to agree with me. Where you get done and you would look at a friend and they would be like, yeah, I didn't like it. And you're like,
Right.
yeah, right.
You could share in the misery.
Or
Wasn't
try
great.
to change our mind.
Right.
We want to hear from you. So
Yeah, let
watch
us-
the movie. Like I said, in my opinion, it's not that bad, but I wouldn't suggest it.
Right.
So we'll be back in a minute.
All right, cool.
Actually, that's why I want to talk to you guys about some business. Cool, we just got out of jail. I'm not talking about that kind of business. I'm talking about, smart business.
So what type of business you planning?
I'm talking something organized. Something big. How big?
And we're back. All right, cool. So I know why I didn't like the movie, but I want to hear what you guys before I get into my take on it. So why didn't you like the movie, Rooney?
I didn't like the movie because it was laden with small problems.
Yeah, such
like
as
things that could have been fixed. Okay, so we have...
Wait, before you begin, I'm always curious when we all disagree. We all don't like the movie. We all would not recommend it. But now it's just like, this is my favorite
Someone's
part.
gonna hold ilk, is that what the word I'm looking for? Over something someone says, even though we all agree we don't like the movie.
Right.
We're not going to agree on why we don't
we're gonna
like the
have
movie.
qualms with each other's issues about the movie.
Someone's going to misunderstood something that happened in the first 10 minutes that offsets the entire film.
And it's just going to be like something that you don't like about the movie. I'm just going to hate you for disliking it.
I'm going to change my mind.
Right. I like the movie out of spite now.
No, there's a lot of small mistakes. I mean, I'll run down a couple right off the bat. Is that all right, and I'm going to hop all over, but, like, why did they play the same tape over and over? I know that Mr. Henineken eventually asked them to change it, but, like, yeah, they're not trying to hurt the guy. They've made this clear. So they're going to play the same opera tune over. Like, of course. Why do they do that?
It was the 80s. I think they didn't have iPods.
Come on. They installed speakers in there, man. They could have had some or silence. Silence is better. Number two, they said, and I went back to check the scene to make sure this is what it said, is that they wanted to have the code word notice in the newspaper. I'm sorry, but isn't notice in the newspaper every day probably 1,000 times? Maybe I'm misunderstanding that scene, but it didn't seem clear. I would have liked the whole thing to be explained more. I'm into that. I'm into the logistics of the heist. They even do a thing at the top of the movie where they're like, we can't just buy rubber masks and jack this dude. We need to spend money and really do this right, spend months of preparation. So you have these smart guys doing that, but they can't pitch for a loan at a bank. If you go back and watch that scene, they're all like bumbling idiots. And then what's his name? The guy who ends up being like the career criminal, Willem Holleder, he says to the dude, maybe what you haven't heard out there, Mr. Big Manager. It's like, right there, you weren't even doing that bad, like pitching the loan. Once you do that, you're out, though.
Right.
Well, and
these are just a couple small things. What do you think?
Honestly, like...
I already hate you for your disagreements with that. I just want to let you know that right off the bat.
Honestly, I just, like the entirety of like, the actual kidnapping of, like, the why they kidnapped Mr. Henineken and, like, their expectations of what they were going to get out of kidnapping Mr. Henineken.
What do you mean their why? They needed the money. They
well, no, but this is the
why
thing
do they
is...
need the money,
okay,
though?
let's just quickly, before you continue, I just want to say quickly discuss the plot point. Basically, these guys they used to own a construction company. They do own a construction company. The one building that they own is really nice, except they can't get squatters out. And therefore, everyone knows they can't get squatters out.
And it's set in Amsterdam.
Right.
Where it is actually, like, impossible to get squatters out.
In the 80s, too. Yeah,
right.
Like punks
so,
where you ain't getting
no bank will give them a loan because of such things, and they're not able to really progress.
Quick interjection. That's what they tell us.
Right.
That's what they say. But later on, we kind of find out that these guys have at least a little bit of a criminal history here. So, like, do they have a construction company? Are they really trying to get this money to pay for these 100 dudes who work for them? I don't know, man.
I'm not gonna lie. That if that was like a bigger subplot of this entire thing, then it would make this movie a lot more interesting.
Yes.
But I, honest to God, I don't believe it.
What
I
landlord
believe it is
isn't a criminal?
No, what
you
I
don't believe they
it,
have that construction company, right?
No, I do believe that they have that construction company.
Okay.
What it feels like is one of these moments where it's like these are guys who grew up together and they were really good friends.
Yeah.
And they used to rob people sometimes. And they used to, like, they've all gone to prison for a little bit.
Minor criminals.
And minor criminals. But the thing is that they all, like, went straight at the same time and did really well for themselves. And then
how do they really necessarily go
Steven
straight?
always writes a backstory for the characters.
Right.
But what
like
I'm
he
saying
writes the 3 movies that prequeled it.
Yeah.
Well, no, and
I
what
like it though. No, I see what you're saying.
And what I'm saying is that it's like they all kind of have this thing of like, they're like a working class background, but like they keep having this entire, like, they're trying to make it that there's this weird, like, their father loves Mr. Henineken and worked for him.
I don't even want to get to that yet because that's a whole nother thing.
And got like. And then like they hate him, but there's no like my whole life I've had to listen about this guy. Like they didn't make that strong enough. They just didn't.
I think they
it
made
was
that
like
strong
all
enough, but the
these
why?
Yeah,
what happened between his dad and Mr. Henineken?
But all of these different things that we're talking about, these are the building blocks to make it so that I like when they kidnap him, I want them to succeed. That if
So
if
the
I
blocks are weak.
believe, that's kind of thing. It's like the foundation of the movie that they're building upon. Where it's like what I need is like I need to love Jim Sturgis's character and love the fact that it's like, oh no, his wife, girlfriend, whatever thing, like she's pregnant now, and now like that's like the thing of like he's got to make new money.
Now he's got those 100 men. And he's
gotta,
got that stuff that they broke at the
work. There's all these guys that they gotta make it work because there's just no other way. And then immediately, what they do in that situation is turn around and go. Well, to do this, we're gonna need hundreds of thousands of dollars. So let's go rob for hundreds of thousands of dollars. And then, like, very successfully rob a bank truck.
Really well.
Yeah.
Like, in a way where it was like, that heist was way better than the rest of the movie.
You think that construction company, any of those dudes are saving that money?
Well,
How come they don't just knock over a bank every 6 months?
Well, no, and I honestly had this moment where I'm watching it and I'm just kind of like, yeah, like you guys are obviously pretty good criminals. Like it had that thing that was like, what was the Ben Affleck movie?
The Town.
The Town, where it's
Right.
like, where it's like, they're just guys who know each other from the neighborhood, who are friends.
From the
and
town?
Then, yeah, they're from the town.
Yeah.
Ha ha ha. And then,
That was for me.
and then, but the thing is that it's like, yeah, they're like friends, and then they decide to kind of like become criminals for a minute, and they're not like career criminals where it's like I'm gonna be the big kingpin of everything. It's like I got an idea for a couple things that are gonna make us some money, but once we get that money, I'm gonna get out of the hole. I'm gonna get out of the business. There's no like I'm building an empire. It's very much like I want to do this one job and I want to get out.
But they say they won't get real jobs on New Year's Eve on the boat.
You make assumptions that they're not criminals in a way. I mean, they're landlords, aren't they? Criminals by default.
You threw that joke over before.
I kind of like that one.
And,
that's pretty good. I know
we like lightly like it, but not enough.
You didn't hear it fully.
Did you already say it?
What? Yeah, I already
said it already.
Ugh, I dislike it now.
Yeah,
but
no, but that's the
stale.
point though. That still lends credence to what I'm saying. Is that like, how do you just assume the guy jumps to kidnapping? Clearly, they're committing crime.
Well, no, but the thing is,
how do you sit on a boat with your 3 best friends and suggest kidnapping? And they're all like, they're not wildly against it. They're just partially against it.
No one says, hey, who says, hey, Core, we've never done anything like that in our lives before.
This is insane.
Yeah.
So it's not.
Well, no, but the thing is that like, and that's why what I was saying is that I feel like the biggest fault of the movie is that it's built on this really weak foundation. Is that it's like none of these guys are bad enough people, nor are they good enough people. There's no like it.
They're lousy people.
They're like. It's not that they're lousy people. It's that it's like they don't make them like down on their luck enough. They don't make them dumb enough. They don't make them smart enough.
That
they don't
point
make
I'll
them,
agree with.
They don't make
you know
them,
what they are?
They don't make them mean and angry enough or nice enough for me to love and or hate them or root for them or want them to do anything enough. It's like by the time that they're in the middle of like kidnapping, I'm just kind of like, yeah, okay, this is happening.
Right.
And I don't actually care about any of them. And I don't actually care
so hard to
about
get
what
Steven
they're
to
doing.
care about a film.
It always comes down to he goes through this huge diatribe and it always ends the same way.
And then you know what he says?
Yeah.
The reality of it is, I don't care.
I just
I
don't.
just don't care.
Right. Yeah, that's.
Well, no, because when
you know
I
what
look
they
at,
are?
when
I
look
want
at
to say
them-
this. The only thing they give these guys, they're charming. They're those charming European dudes. That's it. They're
But
the
at the
blokes
same time-
from down the street. You
But
know.
at the same time, they did manage to make it confusing because, and maybe this is just because I'm American, but they got a bunch of English people to play a bunch of people that are from Amsterdam. And they're not supposed to be like English transplants to Amsterdam.
Right.
They're just people from Amsterdam.
That's the one
They
that-
just wanted it to be in English, so they hired all English actors.
That's the thing. That was the thing that kind of got me a little weird. About, like, I'm like, wait a minute. I don't know what an Amsterdam accent sounds like, but this is just them pulling one over my eyes.
feel like
'cause I don't
whenever
know
they
It's
do-
anything.
not even close.
Right.
Whenever they do something in Europe, though, that they want to release in English, like mostly English speaking, and it's usually in a place like Amsterdam, where like, yeah, pretty much everyone speaks English, but they're not talking it all the time.
Right.
But at the same time, there's a lot of movies that kind of like live in that world of kind of like Amsterdam and England, and it's like bouncing between countries where you've got stuff that's like Snatch or Layer Cake or where it's got a lot of different like accents and languages going on and different countries they're supposed to go to.
Right.
But the thing is that all of the characters are built in this way where it's like yeah, I might live in Amsterdam, but I'm from England. And like it makes sense that I'm here in some capacity. And if they
You mean
have
in
a
those
character-
other movies?
In all those other movies.
Yeah.
In
Well,
this
what I was
one-
gonna say-
in this one, it was a true story about these guys from Amsterdam who did this thing, and instead of going the route of like, yeah, we should make sure that they have accents that sound like they're not from
see, that
England.
doesn't bother me. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
In a lot of films like that, they'll just do that vague,
that general.
pretty British, but not very British, just
Right.
vaguely European, like
Yeah.
around that area.
It's called
Oh,
the
yeah.
classic American one. It's just like, I just don't really understand what you're doing, and it's just like this.
no, it's not. I'm talking about the accent of these guys.
Right. But I'm saying like they use use a blanket, like when you watch Gladiator.
Yes,
like, hey, this doesn't. What is this accent? That really,
right.
It's like a classic European.
Yeah, I mean that doesn't.
Well, it's
bother
like when
me.
it's
There's
like
so
when you
many
watch
more.
people in. It's like when you watch people that are doing movies that are Shakespeare and they're doing it in like some old English British accent, and then you look at them and you're like, this is set in Florence.
Right. Yes.
Like this is not set.
You should not be speaking.
Like you should not be speaking like this.
Right.
But all of those foundational things made it so that by the time you actually got to the kidnapping, it's like the best person in this movie is Anthony Hopkins, in my opinion.
Oh,
right.
Hands down.
Hands down.
But the thing is that that's just because he's Anthony Hopkins. Like, and when you really break down,
actually, no,
like,
I disagree. The
how
driver was really the driver who gets kidnapped.
Well, no, and I honestly thought, like, throughout the entire thing, I kept having this moment where I was like, something's up with this driver. There's gonna be some moment where like they're gonna find out that like when they punched him, they ruptured something inside of him.
I thought he killed himself. That's what I thought was gonna happen.
Yeah, I thought that was gonna happen.
And hey, they would have gotten away with it. Like he wasn't like Henineken wasn't actually gonna come after them for the money, but he killed himself, and so now it's like a vendetta against them for this one dead guy, where it's like now they're running away from that. Is that it's like all of those type of things would have made it so that it was like they kidnapped somebody, and then the stakes were like, we're holding that kidnapped guy, and it's like, okay, but how are you heightening the stakes to make me like worry about the fact that you guys got that, or that you're not getting the money, or that they're not paying attention to you? And it's like they did nothing.
This is, you have a lot of problem with the characters not making you give a shit. And
I don't have those problems.
I don't have a lot of those problems. Actually, I don't hate you, Dennis. I hate Stevens.
Nice.
So it's
that's an all the time thing, though.
Yeah, but I'm just saying, like, this is, what I think that lends to that. I didn't think about it that way, where and I never really do. But with this movie, what made me think about like their almost measures, and you talk about they don't do this enough, they don't do that enough. I think the thing that does it the most is the parts in the plot, like just so many things in the plot that
There's
happen.
too many small plot holes,
right?
Or just things that don't get answered.
Well, no, not
too
even
vague.
for me. It's not answers. It's about like these almost situations. Like they almost get caught with that bank robbery. They rob an armored truck to raise funds to kidnap Mr. Henineken. They almost get caught. Okay, then they have the issue where they send the ransom letter, and then they leave the ransom letter in the copy machine because they made a photocopy because they weren't sure if someone's fingerprints were on it.
Did you guys immediately see that coming?
Yeah, I saw that coming.
Because I saw that coming.
Right.
No, I didn't see it coming.
So then they almost get caught that way. And it's like those little, and then when you think about the driver and how he might do something to himself, and they give you sort of like an inkling because you have that feeling because of the way he's reacting.
But that's on purpose, though.
Right, these are all things on purpose. But these things, they almost go wrong, but they don't go wrong. And it's just like, and that's what I think is an allegory for the movie, is that it almost was a good movie, but it wasn't a good movie. And that's the problem.
A consistency within everything that's happening where it's like, where these guys are not they're not nice enough. They're also not despicable.
Yeah, but
enough.
I didn't think about
They're
them.
not,
that aspect didn't come to me. Like for me, it was just the plot hole.
But
points.
but still, it's like they do it. It happens with not only the characters, but it also happens with the plot, and it also happens where it's like the stakes, the level of stakes that they have on different things are not high enough.
Yeah.
Where it's kind of like, it's like, oh, the photocopier thing is that it's like, it's guys next door, and the guy when he gets there, it's like whew, we got it, like we saved ourselves from this thing. But at the same time, it's like there's just like it's like 5 old guys sitting in a room.
They could have spent less time doing that. They could have spent less time doing that and more time developing why you should care.
I like that scene. It doesn't matter. It's 5 old guys. It's that they left it in the copy machine.
Right.
I didn't. Upon viewing the movie, that stuff didn't bother me, that they weren't bad enough or good enough either way. Upon hearing you say it, that is a problem with the film, and it would have been better if I either loved these characters or kind of hated them.
Yeah.
Like, for example, one of the only things they try to say, what good guys is the wife or the girlfriend or whatever goes, can you believe that they didn't hit anyone with those bullets? Like, they still shot up a town. Like, they're still terrorizing some quiet street,
Right.
Can we talk about the Henineken dad, though, and what the hell was going on there?
Right. So talk about it. Explain, like...
So they go... So Core and Willem Holleder are friends, and Core is dating Willem's sister.
Right.
And Willem's dad worked for Henineken, or they had some sort of business relationship.
He worked with Henineken.
But
He
Henineken fired him, and he still loves him. He still holds him up on this.
He still looks at the picture of them together.
Yeah, looks at the picture, which, if you look at it, Anthony Hopkins looks miserable. Like, I can't believe this idiot is making me take this picture with him.
I think that Anthony Hopkins looks that way through the whole movie, and I have a feeling that it was him just going, "Why am I doing this?
Why did I do this film?"
It's funny. In the picture, he looks like he's been kidnapped.
Yeah.
In the photo, he looks awful.
I met this guy once, or no, I didn't actually meet him, but I might have met him. But my friends told me about him. They have this friend whose dad worked for Pepsi, still does work for Pepsi for like all his life since he was 20, driving a truck. And he will not allow you to bring like a can of Coke into his house.
Oh man!
And if you like make fun of Pepsi in the house, he's real like, you don't mess with that. Like that's a good company. Those are good people. They built this house.
You know,
that is crazy to me.
I met somebody like that with I used to work at an insurance company, New York Life, and there was this guy who was all about I remember going to a Christmas party. He was just like, "You don't understand. When I retire, I'm going to be a millionaire. Okay, I'm going to be a millionaire. Like I am set for life. New York Life takes care of me." Next spring, he was laid off.
Oh my god!
I've never been so excited when that happened. I just started laughing at my desk.
You are a terrible person.
Did you email him?
No, I didn't email. It was just like because he was so pro the company, and then when he got laid off, he was so bewildered. Like I've never seen. This was almost like somebody getting hit by a car, and then if they could watch it happen on tape, be like, "Yeah, I didn't even see that coming."
I didn't even know.
Well, no, and I think that
that's ridiculous. Right?
Right.
The dad's absolutely ridiculous.
This is the thing is that the dad without any solid foundational backstory.
Again, just tell us what happened with the dad.
Right. Like the dad doesn't make any sense.
It's another thing that could have been cut out.
It's another thing that could have been cut out. And
cut it out or expand upon it. Don't tease us with.
No, you don't need to expand on such a bullshit point.
No, I like that.
And what they wanted to do. Is what it felt like they wanted to do was have a discussion about like make Henineken out at the beginning, like between these friends, make Henineken out to be a bad guy.
Right.
Yeah.
And that could have resolved all that.
And then bring Anthony Hopkins in, and you realize that it's like, oh, he's actually not that bad.
Yeah.
Like he's actually like a sweet, lovely man who all he's trying to do is get through this thing. That it's like he's not trying to fight with them. He's not like you'll never get my money or anything like that. He's like
he's worried about his driver. He seems like a good person.
He's worried about his driver. He's worried about like he's very sensible about everything when they sit down. Where he's like, could you please turn the music off or give me something else because I'm going crazy? And can I please not have ham? Could I please just have Chinese food?
He's polite, but he's like a bit of a player, though.
Yeah, he's cutthroat. Anthony Hopkins captures a businessman really well.
Yeah, he does.
This is the thing. He's cutthroat. But the thing was that I kept having all these moments where it was like when he asked for Chinese food or when he asked for like some extra like thing. I kept having it be these moments where I was like, this is how they're gonna find him. Like,
yes, it's a code.
That's another one.
I kept thinking that it was like, oh well, like they're gonna end up at this spot at the end where it was like his assistant or somebody like that like understood that it was like if you ever get kidnapped, look for the people that are buying this thing and this thing and this thing and putting it together as a thing.
That's too much. However, I will say this, that these things that we're talking about where they kind of allude to something might happen, but it's just soft enough and then it doesn't come to fruition, they happen quickly, and those are good things to do in a movie. That's a good, like, to make us think. He has that conversation at the Chinese restaurant where the guy's like, you're not a guy who orders, man, blah, blah, blah. But then to not do it, it's kind of like a fake.
But this is the thing is, you're allowed, in my opinion, with a movie like this, where it's a heist movie, it's like a thriller in a certain sense. I don't know. I can never understand what a thriller is as a movie. But
it thrills you.
It thrills you.
So yeah,
it's one of those things where it's like these are those kind of moments where it's like I'm gonna I'm gonna fake you out by doing like this Kung Pao chicken thing over here. But the thing is that the thing you do give me needs to be better than that.
And you know what they gave us? Nothing. An anonymous tip. That's what because the cops start following them when they go to free Heine.
Right.
And then that's it. Like, it all goes from there. They have to spread.
Because if you read the epilogue at the end,
it just says an anonymous
they
tip.
said that the police received an anonymous tip, and
they still don't know who it's from.
Yeah, but
make something up. You're fictionalizing the story anyway. I'm sure a lot of this is BS. Like, make it better. This story's cool. Make it a better. Like, fill it up, man.
And that's the thing is that it's like you need to feel like everything has like a certain amount of the only, like I'm thinking of different heist movies. Is that it's like when you watch something where it's like Ocean's 11 or like The Sting or something like that, is that they all have these fake outs halfway through. And
yeah,
these,
but
like,
the Sting is like if we're
Well,
talking about,
I've never seen The Sting.
The Sting is like insanely good.
The Sting is insane.
Yeah,
in the way that it like
you can't
it
for you to
cobbles
say The Sting
story.
in Ocean's 11. That's like saying I mean,
I really liked Ocean's 11.
That's like
Should I see
saying
The Sting?
Godfather and like Karate Kid. You know, like it's not.
You just named two amazing movies, one of which I would put above the other, and Karate Kid's at the top.
But I'm saying like you're putting Karate Kid as like a mob movie. That's how bad you're looking. You're like
sweep
portraying.
the leg, Johnny.
Right,
All right, I got.
But when I look at the movie like this, it's like the reason why I said Ocean's 11 or The Sting is because both of those movies have this kind of thing where you're like learning little plot details along the way,
right?
And you think that at one point they're screwed, and then they're not. And
yes.
It's because hey, all this stuff I've been showing you throughout the movie has been building out, faking you out at the end. And switching things out right at the end and making the viewer kind of go, oh man, had I been paying attention fully, I would have understood what was going on the whole time.
But that never happens. And
in this movie, it's like they have all these little hints of like something that might have screwed up or something that was over here or something that was over there. And I kept sitting there because of the type of movie it is, not because of what the filmmakers did.
It's almost like the movie wants you to put you on the edge of your seat, but you never get there. You never get to the edge of your seat. You're always sitting there going, "Yeah, all right."
I think that honestly, it's like the stakes are not high enough.
Right.
Had it been like something in this guy, like had they just made it like, and it's simple, like that's the thing that annoys me sometimes with movies is when it's like there's simple lies from a true story that I would happily accept.
Okay.
Is that it's like just make the dad sick.
Yes.
Make the dad super sick.
Make them poorer.
And make them poorer.
Right.
And then end up at this place where it's like not only does he's got a baby to take care of, and his friends are gonna have nowhere to live, and his dad is sick, and he's got this, and he's got that, and of course we're gonna have to kidnap Mr. Henineken.
You made a good point before before we started the podcast about like you thought about how long the movie the movie sat on the shelf. The movie was actually filmed in October 2013. And then it was released April 3rd, 2015. So we're talking about almost 2 years.
Okay.
And it takes like 6 months to shoot a movie. So this thing for like for a year and a half kind of just, kind of chilled. And
it's not completely. The thing is that it's probably like in a lot of movie studios, it's not unheard of to have something take that long to come out.
Right.
But this movie did not come out to like amazing fanfare.
No,
I don't even know if this movie came out in the theater.
This is one of those movies that appears on Netflix, and you go, sounds like a cool movie, and it's got Anthony Hopkins in it. How come I never heard of it?
Appeared.
It was only released in England and the Netherlands.
Called Kidnapping Freddie Henineken, because us Americans are too stupid to make that connection.
Right. So they did that.
That was a little angry out of nowhere, right?
Right. A little unjustified.
I got some questions.
Yeah.
Listen, I got some questions.
Yeah, I want to hear them.
Could you guys pull off a heist? Of like a big magnitude like that?
To kidnap a person?
Sure.
Like Freddie Henineken?
Sure.
Actually, I started to think about that. I also think about every time Dennis and I go to a deli, he always says, could I knock this place over?
Not just the deli, any place I go to.
Yeah,
I have that mind, and I love movies like this.
Yeah.
Dennis just lives in a world where he's like, at any given moment, I'm going to rob somebody.
Yeah.
I always think that if at some point, someday I'm in the right place at the right time, and I'm already seeing all the angles anyway, because that's always how my mind's working.
Oh,
and I'm always thinking about whether I could get away with something.
Yeah.
Do you think like big level, high stakes, getting the money, getting away with it, living the rest of your life scotch-free?
Kidnapping.
And do you think there's something like morally and ethically not that bad enough where you would actually do it?
There's nothing.
That's kind of a two-part question. Go.
I feel like I couldn't get away with things like, and that I can't get away with it, and also I would feel so guilty and racked the whole time that even if I was able to switch off that part of my brain, I would mess up because of it.
I think the guilt might get to me too.
Right.
But I think I could do it, man.
I think that I could. It depends on what it is. Because if it's kidnapping, because like this movie's about kidnapping. If it's kidnapping, I don't think I could do it.
Right.
Because you feel too. But what if it was someone who deserved
I would feel guilty. No. Even then, I mean, unless it's like this is an African warlord that killed 1,000 people in a town, then I'm like, yeah, kidnap him. Let's do this. Like, I wouldn't feel bad about that. But like,
what if it was like a heroin dealer? Or like a major heroin
what I like about
kingpin?
Rudy is that he doesn't go high. He goes just right in the middle where you're just like, he's still a person.
he's a person, but but you know. This guy.
And Steven creates these situations where it's always
African drug lord.
Yeah, who's asking you to kidnap an African drug lord?
So I'm at a Denny's last week.
No.
And you won't imagine who comes in.
This guy wants to kidnap
You don't
Cody.
know what I do.
I'm trying to get a grand slam over here. It doesn't make any sense. Or you're just on your way I'm sitting on the J train and someone's like, you know what?
That is equally as crazy as the fact that this guy over here walks into every bodega and thinks to himself, where are all the cameras?
I walk into anything almost
pretty realistic.
Pretty much anything that's not a chain, which is interesting because chains have the best security.
Yes,
but any mom and pop shop place I go into, I notice where are the cameras if there are.
Well, the only difference is that I feel like if you go into let's say that you went into if you went into an IHOP, and you robbed them, they've got great security, but at the same time, you're gonna get away with the money. You might get caught with the money later, but you're going to get away with the money. If you went into Tina's, which for everybody that's listening is a diner spot, you're going to be like, give me the money, and they will shoot you.
They're going to throw burning hot oil in my face.
Well, no, but I would, I 100% think that there's a gun behind the counter
Also,
at Tina's.
you're thinking of me as a smash and grab guy, and I'm not.
You should not. That's an insult.
Yeah, it kind of is an insult.
It's not even thinly veiled.
Yeah,
you're from Long Island. What am I supposed to think?
Low blow.
Low blow.
Second question.
By the way, I got to tell you, when you're very smart to make that assessment about big companies, because I remember I went to an art exhibit where you walk in and the place is coated with a substance that you can't even really feel.
Cocaine?
But you could put it's in the air.
It's an art world thing, right?
It's also in the air too, like the substance.
Cocaine? I'm sorry.
But the substance is patented.
Ew.
So when you are let's say if you were to go into a bank and you were to rob the bank, when you leave and they're like, oh, well, we don't have proof you were there, they would actually take your clothes and the substance would be on your clothes and they could run it and it'd have a patent ID as to where you've been.
That's gross.
Yeah.
That makes me feel really uncomfortable.
Yeah, right?
With everywhere I go.
Yeah.
At all.
And banks have been testing it, and so have fast food joints. Like McDonald's have been testing as putting that as a security measure.
That's not fair because I just go to McDonald's to eat.
Yeah, well, now they know.
You shouldn't.
Now they know where you go, fat boy.
All right. Last question.
Yeah.
Would you drop everyone you know? Because that's how the movie ends, is that, like they say, after the kidnappers divided the cash, they were never together again as a group. Kind of like Henineken called it, you know? Like, you can't you can have money or you can have friends. You can't really have both, especially under these circumstances.
Yeah.
Now, would you drop everyone you knew for $15 million?
I wouldn't be able to do it unless there were conditions.
Listen, here's the
no
conditions.
conditions.
Steven's a conditions
I
man.
understand.
Non-negotiable. You're dropped into a foreign country. Has to be outside of the U.S. Your choice. You have $15 million in cash.
Is your fiance in this
physically
apartment
dropped
right
from
now?
10 feet? Nothing crazy, but we got to jolt the system.
Is your
nothing crazy, but your shins and your knees are going to hurt a little.
Yeah.
Is your fiance in the apartment right now?
No.
Okay, so you can answer truthfully.
Come on, man.
No, I don't think I'd be able to do it.
You would be able to start a new life. You'd miss everybody.
It's not that I would miss everybody. It's that if you give me $15 million, no consequences, and nobody in my life, I'll kill myself in 3 weeks.
Oh, okay. You're throwing down that card again.
I'm sure you could find a whole circle of
your crippling addiction.
My crippling addiction.
I'm sure you could find a whole new circle of people to pester.
Come on, you'd make friends
for $15 million.
I'm gonna start another podcast. It's gonna be Amazon Prime Book Club.
That's great.
Do you drop everyone, Casey?
I'd drop everybody.
Me too. Don't you feel terrible about it?
I feel the worst. I never. Kind
of excited though too. Like maybe someone will offer
it.
The
thing is, I'm excited about the new circle of friends I develop. Who am I?
I
gonna,
know.
yeah, who am
You'd
I
be the
gonna-
cool guy. You'd have to never expose how you got your money.
Right.
I don't know. I think I could do a heist. If anyone's interested out
Man,
there, contact us.
I really think that what
What's
it
the
really
email
comes down to
address?
is it's amazing how badly Dennis doesn't want to work at a deli.
Yeah.
It's the last. This is. I want to.
Listen, you know the thing is, at least he has ambition to do something. I'm at my job, and I'm gonna put a microscope on my head and just kill myself. All right, so we're not changing our minds about this.
Everyone dislikes
No.
it.
Dislikes
I'll
it.
give a quick suggestion though. Go watch "Comes a Bright Day." It's another. There's a jewelry robbery. It's set in Europe. I liked it better than this,
Oh, I haven't.
and it
I
was
don't
on
know that.
Netflix. If you want, no one famous is in it.
Yeah. So what are we
Okay,
watching
cool.
next week?
Next week we're gonna watch the movie Primer.
Okay.
It's a like indie sci-fi movie about time travel and stuff.
All right, cool.
All right, cool. Check out the website, flicksbookclub.com, and everybody say goodbye.
Goodbye.
Bye.